Hey YouTube, we're out here at the goat pasture this morning and want to show you my working pens. I'm getting ready to next weekend probably going to gather these goats and pull off the bigger end of our weather kids and going to market those. Going to take them to the sale barn and sell the bigger end. So in order to do that, I got to gather these goats up and sort through them. And so the way that I do that is I push them in the pen, and then I set up a working box with 3 different gates on it, an in gate, an out gate, and then a sort gate. And so that's what I'm going to show you today, is how I have that set up and kind of why it's set up the way it is, and the materials I use, and just some of the specifics on it, so that somebody starting out who's not looking to spend a lot on infrastructure can do what I'm doing and be successful with it. So I'll turn you around here, and I'm going to show you, this is my working corral, okay? And so this is what I've got here in this pasture. I've got a fence line right here, runs into this little, just all it is a square. It's about 32 by 40 working corral. You know, I got some net wire around it so hold these goats in here. But I've got a pallet pen working box, okay, and with 3 gates on it. So obviously this looks really crude, right? And it is, but it's also very cheap and inexpensive. The pallets are free. I've got probably $30 of galvanized hinges in this deal, and some T-post and tie wire. So to start out with, in this working pen, the main gate, these goats are going to flow in through this main gate, obviously, right? And flow into here. Well, as you see, I've got a bunch of welded wire panels laid over there on the side that I haven't set up yet on purpose. I've worked goats in this pen before, but it's never been this many. It's been maybe a third or less than that, 20% as many that I've pushed in here. So I'm a little worried about getting all these goats pushed through this main gate hole, okay, and getting them all in here. So I've opted to not set up my entire pen structure yet. So this might be just a little bit confusing, but I think we can get through it. So when these goats come in here, they're gonna have this whole area to ball up and roll around in, so we can get everybody pushed in. Once we get everybody pushed in, I'm gonna take some of these 20-foot welded wire panels I had. So that's a 4-inch by 4-inch square, okay? And so that's pretty important with sheep and goats, you know, because nothing's going to get through that, especially in a area where you're going to put pressure on them. But I'm going to take those 20 by 20 panels, and I'm going to take 2 of them and run them right off this panel, parallel with this panel, and it's going to run all the way into that cross fence over there, okay? And I'll take 2 of them, all right? And then I'm going to tee into that fence with another panel, and it's going to run right into that fence. So then what I'm going to have is a catch pin, a pin in there, a pin right here, and then a bigger pin back here. And then I'm also will have this alleyway kind of pin from starting at that gate, and it'll run all the way to the end fence. So once I get that set up, I'm going to push any goats in here. I'll push them around, and we'll just pull that panel back, okay? We won't tie it, and we'll push everything around into this big pin right here. So eventually everything's going to be right here. And then the second pin that's not set up yet, I'll push a big draft of 35 or 40 through it and push them into there, tie that gate back up to the fence right there, and then I'll have maybe 35 or 40 head, whatever, in here. And then we'll take a second draft of probably anywhere from 6 to 12 animals, probably, 6 to 8 animals, and we're going to push them through this gate hole right here. So there's going to be this panel coming off of here, all right, and we'll run them into here, 6 or 8 of them, and all these other gates will be closed. That gate will be closed, this gate will be closed. And so then what we'll do is we'll sort off the goats that we want to keep and take to the sale, and we're going to push them through that gate, and that'll be a holding pin right back there. And that's where they'll sit until we're ready to load them. Everything else that we don't want will go through this gate, all right? And they'll just roll into here, and they'll hang out in this long alleyway here as an out pin. And so we'll wait until we've sorted through everybody, and we'll probably wait till we get those goats on the trailer before the goats that we want to keep and leave out in the pasture, before we turn them back out over here. Okay, so that's a rough rundown of how I'm going to set it up and how the stock are going to flow through this. So you know, that's not quite as important as the idea that these panels here are very cheap infrastructure. The welded wire panels, you know, I think they're maybe 50 bucks for a 20 foot of panel. All right, so they're relatively inexpensive too. And mind you, that's a 20 foot by, that's 48 inches tall, or 4 foot tall is what that panel is. So going back to what's really what you need to take away from this video is that you can capture and sort your animals for very cheap to start out with. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of specialized panels for sheep and goats and spend a lot of money on them. All right, some T-post, some labor, and some free pallets or next to free pallets, okay, and some hinges from your Home Depot or Lowe's, all right, is going to do the trick really well. Doesn't mean that in 5 or 10 years after you've been doing this that you still want to be using those crummy old pins, but to start out with, that's the ticket, especially for somebody young, or you know, somebody that they don't have a whole lot of money to go. You know, you need to put your money in that right over there, that livestock. That's, if you want to take on debt to buy those things, okay? And then use whatever you got left, the pennies, to put this infrastructure together. Secondly, okay, yeah, those are T-posts in the ground and stuff, but I can pull all that out, and I do, and haul it over, you know, across this lease place to the other end where there's another set of pins, and do a similar thing in those pins when my stock's over closer to that set of working pins. You know, so instead of owning 2 sets of working pins, okay, I just need to own 1. So, you know, all that stuff really starts to snowball after a while, and the benefits begin to really accumulate to where it's low in your initial capital investment. And I just can't stress how important that is starting out, because you might have it all budgeted out and worked out and think that you're going to be all right to go ahead and spend this extra money up front. But when things don't pan out, which they usually don't to begin with, you might be thinking, man, I wish I would have skimped a little bit on those infrastructtures to start with. So anyhow, that's my that's my rant about these working pins. Planning on, like I say, maybe in a week so, we're gonna run these in here and sort them off, and I hope to make a video about that and show you guys kind of how we do that, and get you a better picture of these pins and how they work, and why we're gonna sort off what we are, and what that's gonna look like. So like I say all the time, I really enjoy making these videos. I hope they're useful to somebody out there. Somebody can make their operation just a little bit better, get a nugget or two out of these videos, and improve. So anyhow, we'll be talking to you soon, and have a great day. Bye now.